And continuing with my discussion on the marriage list, this is Gail Schuler, Gabrielle Chana. If there are any children out there, you may want to direct them away from this video, as some of the stuff I'll be discussing is adult content. Some of the men who I believe are on my marriage list are Australian actor Hugh Jackman. I've had brain-to-brain loving with him. He's a great guy. I believe the Jesuits murdered his real wife and replaced her with her clone, so that his marriage went downhill after the clone became his wife. The Jesuits also replaced my real husband, Stuart Pullman, with his clone, and I can tell you it's no fun to be married to the clone of the person you married, because they are not the same person that you married. And Jesuit clones usually support a Jesuit agenda which never promotes healthy marriages and family life. When a Jesuit pulled out a gun and tried to shoot Brent Spiner around September 2009, Hugh pulled out his gun, a concealed weapon, and shot the guy and killed him and saved Brent Spiner's life. After this, Brent and Vladimir encouraged me to make love to Hugh Jackman because they said he really loves you and his heroism saved Brent Spiner's life, and it would do wonders for his morale if you'd make love to him. But after I rewarded manly and heroic Hugh Jackman with several months of brain-to-brain loving, I returned to Brent. Another one is actor Matthew McConaughey. I've had brain-to-brain loving with him, and he's a great guy. Matthew McConaughey was the first guy on my marriage list, or the first famous guy on my marriage list, and it was because of him that Vladimir and Brent decided to start a marriage list for me. Around September and October 2005, Jesuits used their horrible computer satellite technology to induce a near-fatal heart attack in Vladimir Putin. It was so bad that Brent Spiner and several men who are now on my marriage list volunteered to be hooked up into Vladimir's circulatory system, to have their blood pumped into Vladimir's body to keep him going, while our pioneering physicians used computer satellite technology to rebuild Vladimir's heart at the cellular genetic level. These men actually laid in a bed next to Vladimir and allowed their heart to pump blood for two bodies, Vladimir and themselves, in order to save Vladimir's life. It took about a month to fix Vladimir, and Vladimir was so debilitated by this heart attack, he was unable to make love to me. To keep Vladimir calm, so that Vladimir would not worry about losing me while unable to make love to me, they allowed him to pick a substitute husband for me to take his place while he recuperated. That man became Matthew McConaughey. I told Vladimir, I adore you and don't really want to do this, but to keep you calm, I will do it, but I plan on being yours again, as soon as you are well enough to be my lover again. I'm grateful to these men for saving your life. The physicians wanted to make sure Vladimir's heart was strong enough for sex, so they told him no sex. Even though brain-to-brain loving does not involve the actual meeting of two bodies, the heart rate can go up because the man actually goes through the sexual motions like in real sex. Another man, British actor Gerard Butler. I've had brain-to-brain loving with him, and he's a genius and very manly. I like macho guys. He's been acting as the psychiatrist for the men on my marriage list, and I believe that he really is a psychiatrist. Matthew McConaughey went through a period of clinical depression around 2008-2009. I didn't know about Matthew's depression at the time until the men on my marriage list told me, but it had something to do with all the Jesuit tabloid lies about him and Camilla and the baby she had. You see, Matthew got put on my marriage list in 2005, and now all these tabloids claim that he was having sex with Camilla and having babies with her. This put Matthew into clinical depression. Gerard informed us that Matthew's depression was becoming serious around 2008-2009, and serious intervention needed to occur. Gerard asked me to make brain-to-brain love to Matthew again, that it would do wonders for his morale. I did not want Matthew depressed and made love to him brain-to-brain, 2008-2009. This, along with counseling from Gerard, brought Matt out of depression. I'm not sure if Matthew has decided to make Camilla his real girlfriend or not, as she seems nicer than most women that Jesuits pick for my men. But it was not Matthew's idea to have her for a girlfriend in the first place back in 2006. The Jesuits picked her for him and impregnated her using artificial insemination, one of their favorite ploys with my men, to sabotage his love for me. Anyways, because Gerard gave so selflessly of his time to counsel and help the men on my marriage list like Matthew McConaughey, Vladimir and Brent encouraged me to make brain-to-brain love to Gerard Butler for a while, which I did. Gerard is a thrilling and manly lover and very, very smart, and I believe he's on my marriage list as well. I believe Gerard understands me at the subconscious level like the psychiatrist he is, and he plays a significant role in choosing which men should be on my marriage list. Another one, Keith Morgan, MD, an ophthalmologist who I went to school with at Florida State University. I've had brain-to-brain conversations with him and like his personality and intelligence. Another, Edward Prendergast, a business executive who I went to school with at Baptist University of America. I've had brain-to-brain conversations with him and like his personality and intelligence. And another one who's new on my marriage list, I believe, is Chinese President Hu Jintao with a degree in hydraulic engineering. And I'm not sure I can hit it off with an engineer. He may be a little too dry and scientific for me. I like a guy with a sense of humor and with a creative, pioneering, and passionate spirit, and I'm not sure that Hu Jintao is like this. However, I like Hu Jintao and respect him as a world leader. He's been great to Vladimir Putin and has been a great support to us in our war against these Jesuit monsters. There are others, and to be frank, this topic does not interest me that much because I think this whole marriage list thing is a joke. However, I have noticed that the Jesuits take it very seriously because they've gone to the trouble to create relationships with women for just about all these men when no such relationship exists, and then to plaster the tabloids with stories about these fabricated relationships. I've only had brain-to-brain loving with Hugh Jackman, Matthew McConaughey, and Gerard Butler, outside of Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin, because Brent and Vladimir insisted. And I don't feel comfortable with having brain-to-brain loving with a lot of men. I'm actually quite stumped that so many men want to marry me, but I'm only committed to Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin for real marriage right now. As a result of my brain-to-brain intimacy with Hugh Jackman, Matthew McConaughey, and Gerard Butler, I have high regard for all these men who I consider men of manliness, integrity, and honor. I will only marry a man after I've developed a real oneness with that man, and so far, the only men I've developed this oneness with are Vladimir Putin and Brent Spiner. I warn the men on my marriage list that if the oneness doesn't happen, I won't marry them. That is, should something happen to Brent or Vladimir so that I would consider one of the men on my marriage list. However, I am committed to the men on my marriage list and will only marry one of them. I have not dated any men since my divorce in 2001 because I'm committed to the men on my marriage list. I consider myself married to Brent Spiner and Vladimir Putin and engaged to marry one of the men on my marriage list should anything happen to Brent or Vladimir.